Hello, hello. Tonight we are going to be making sous vide steak. Sous vide is a way of cooking that uses temperature controlled water to cook your food perfectly every time. So as you can see, the inner pot there is halfway filled with water. So now we're going to put the lid on. Hard to do and hold the camera at the same time. And then we're going to turn the settings here to the sous vide setting. So see that here is sous vide. And we want nice rare steaks, so we're going to leave that at the 120. And we're going to turn the timer down to 2 hours. There we go. And then we're going to let it start. And you can see here it says run, and then you see down here that it's preheating. When it's finished preheating, it will beep 3 times, and then it will say add, and then that's when we're going to drop the steaks in. While the water is heating up, we're going to go ahead and pat the steaks dry and season them up. And these steaks are already, they're already pretty well dry, but we're going to go ahead and just pat out any last little moisture on them here. And then we're going to keep the seasoning really simple and just use some salt and pepper. That's it. Just some salt and pepper. All right. So I'll just put a little bit of salt on. Oops. That was kind of a big chunk of salt. There we go. Pepper, and then we'll flip them over and put a little salt and pepper on the other side, just because we want to keep it simple. This time we want to make sure that we can taste the meat, so we don't want to over season them. And we will be making some compound butter to put on the steak when we're finished, and that will give them a little more flavor when they're done as well. There we go. And I am super excited to try this. I have never done sous vide steak before. This is my first time, and everybody that I've talked to who has done it has absolutely loved it. They say the steak turns out perfect every time, and I'm hoping it will. Next thing here, we're putting the steaks in this resealable gallon-sized Ziploc bag. That's what we want. If we want the steaks, there we go, to be in here, because they'll be submerged completely underwater. And we want to try to squeeze out as much of the air as possible, because air will make the steaks float, and we want them to sit in the water so that they get cooked perfectly. And there we have it. So we're just going to set these aside for now while we wait for the water to finish heating. And then once the water starts heating and it gets cooking, we're going to start working on the compound butter. There we go. You can see it says add. It hasn't quite started cooking yet, but it says add. So we're going to take the lid off, move that out of the way, and then we're going to set the steaks here in our little baggie. They're all sealed up inside the water. And we're going to push them down to make sure they're under the water. There we go, but the lid of the bag is above the water. Just make sure. There we go. Oops, that corner's kind of popping up. I may not have gotten all the air out. There we go. So the steaks are in. We're going to put the lid back on. There we go. That lets us know the lid's on. It's going to heat up and start cooking, and I will check back with you when the steaks are done. All right, so it's done. It's all finished. It says end. We're going to take the lid off and then take the steaks out. Let's see. Oh, they do look very, very rare. All right, so I'm going to let some of the water drip off. And I have a towel here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dry the outside of the bag, and then we'll pat the steaks in the middle. We'll pat the steaks dry and then pop them into the skillet to sear the outside of them. All right, so now we're just gonna put the steaks on the cutting board. Take them out. I'm gonna put them on here real quick. Oh, they smell so good. You just smell that salt and pepper. All right, and then we're gonna pat them dry just a little bit so we get off some of the excess moisture from the outside. There we go, and now we're gonna move them over into the pan and start frying them. There we go, just a little bit of garlic infused olive oil in the bottom. There we go, so just gonna let them for 1 or 2 minutes, just kind of sear them up on the outside. We got some broccoli steaming over here. Just let them sear and brown, and then see how they turn out. Alright, so we're going to flip them over. Alright, so just did it 1 minute on the last side. I think you're going to let them go 2 minutes on this side just to get a little more of a sear on the outside. Okay, so that's 2 minutes. I'm just going to flip these back over for a few seconds. Let's see. Oh, that looks good, yeah. So I think 2 minutes is kind of the magic number on getting that nice brown sear to it. We're going to let these sit here. I'm going to turn the heat off because the pan will actually stay warm for a bit. And just give them just a little bit more on the outside. Hopefully I don't overcook them, but I just like that nice brown sear on the outside. Our broccoli's done. We put some steamed broccoli, topped with a little herb and garlic, and then a little pinch of salt. So that's done. These steaks are just finishing up. Then I'm going to transfer them back to the cutting board, and we're going to let them rest for about 5 minutes. Alright, hasn't quite been a whole minute yet, but I'm going to go ahead and take them out of the pan and move them back over to the cutting board. Okay, so here we have the steaks resting on the cutting board. Earlier, while the steaks were cooking, I mixed up a little bit of garlic and herb butter to put on top. So we're going to put this butter on top and just kind of let it melt in as the steaks rest. We're just going to put this butter on. We're going to let them rest for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to cut into them and see how they turn out.
Is it just going to see me? Is it going to see that?
You see you, baby.
Okay. Hey, if y'all don't remember me, I'm the doubtful husband. My wife got this fancy machine that cooks meat perfectly. So she tried it out tonight. I think you call it a sous vide.
Sous vide.
Sous vide. So we're going to cut into this and we're going to see if it's all it's cracked up to be.
It's supposed to be rare.
Ah, it looks pretty good. A little bit of juice coming out still.
Nice. Oh, that looks good.
I'll buy that. Perfect.
You would eat it.
I would eat it and I'd pay for it. I'll buy that.
Okay, I just had to jump back on. We just took a bite of this, and this is the most tender steak. I really did not expect that whatsoever. If you're looking for a new way to cook your steak to where it's just the temperature that you want and it's tender, this is it.